I've lost too many people to count as far as like people that I've known that have passed away, but close people, there's been about 7 or 8, and they've all come in a period of like maybe 6 years. From when I was 16, my grandma passed away. That was the first experience of what death was, and was like, oh wow, she's not here anymore, like where is she? And so that opened up that part of life for me. And then my dad's brother passed away from cancer, my Uncle Jeff. And then my dad's other brother, Uncle Tim, passed away. And then when I was in college, I found out that one of my friends that I rode the bus with every day to high school, he hanged himself in his dorm. And then the next year after that, another friend had a heart attack just at work, died at work. And then another friend from high school got in a motorcycle accident. So there was just so much death filled in these years that just brought me into a dark place in my mind. And it's really made me question about what all this is, what is death, and why is it happening to so many people around me. And it just put me in my head, and I started to live in my mind trying to figure out, why are these people dying? What is life? What's the point of this? Why not me? When am I gonna die? Is this gonna happen to me? Am I gonna just wanna hang myself one day? Am I gonna, literally how I'm talking right now was just daily thoughts in my mind playing over and over and over and over. I started to live in this box inside my head. This box was a scary place. I thank God every day that I'm not in that box anymore. However, I look back and remember what it was like. It was just constant worry, constant anxiety, constant fear, constant trying to figure out what life was and what life is, and thinking that I was doing this alone, that there was no one to talk to about it, and that if I did talk to anyone about it, that was me being weak. Going through those losses, I was seeking for release through drinking and smoking pot. Those two things they started to consume my life. All those deaths made me think that life was some dark place, and in order to escape that dark place, I had to drink and do drugs and get myself out of that box that I had created in my mind. My mom had gotten divorced from my first stepfather. My second stepfather is my hero. His name is John Devlin, and he was just amazing. And in the beginning, it was just like, really, Mom, like another guy. I was so turned off from him at first. I was like, this guy's not gonna win me over. Like, I already tried this whole stepdad thing. I don't want another dad. I don't care anymore. Like, but man, in such a short time, he won me over. Like, I just saw how happy he made my mom, and it was like happiness I had never seen in my mom before. And I think seeing that was just like, okay, this guy, I'll give him a chance. He was just such a father figure, and he would always say to me, he would sit me down and say, Connor, I'm not your father, and I know that, and I'm not here to try to pretend to be your father, but I'm your guardian. He was everything I needed in those stages of life. That was right when I was going through those hard times in high school, and then I would grow up and end up going to college, and like, he was there for all of that. His life was always service to others. Before he came into my life, he was a first responder during the 9/11 attacks. He was like picking up the rubble of the buildings and just looking for bodies, and he would tell me stories of like people standing behind the fence, like showing pictures, like, see if you can find these people. But being down there, a bunch of those responders, they were all breathing in these fumes. I think it was maybe a year or two into Him being my stepfather, he sat us down on the couch and told us that he was diagnosed with stage 4 inoperable throat cancer, that he was given 5 months to live. It was really hard to believe that everything was going to be okay, but I had lost my uncle to cancer, my grandma to diabetes, and then cancer. So I knew what cancer did, I knew what it was. What he taught me in that time of cancer, the way he went about living, knowing that he was dying, is why I am who I am today. It was like when he was diagnosed with cancer was when he became alive. He was physically not well, but his spirit just became alive more every day. It was so inspiring to watch someone that had knowledge that they were dying, living like they were just never gonna die. And I think that attitude and that approach to life and that vision is why he ended up living 5 years. I believe that John's perspective of life, I think he had the same focus in the sense that his life was always service to others. And I think that is reflected in, before even being diagnosed, he chose to go serve at 9/11. Every day for 10 months, he was going there to serve and help people. And so I think that's always who he was as a person. And then I believe that when he was diagnosed, it became even more real, that he wanted to be even more of that person and serve even more and as many people as he could before he was to leave the earth. What I watched him do in that time, that made me just look at life differently. I think what allowed John to live happily through cancer was his love for my mother and his love for myself and for my brother and sister. I just saw the way he looked at my mom, and it brings me to tears just thinking about how he looked at my mom, because I just saw so much love radiating from him when him and my mom were together, and I just believe that he loved us so much, and he did everything he could to make us happy. And I think when he got diagnosed, he realized that that time that he had to do that was limited. And I think it became real to him that he didn't know going to bed each night if he was going to wake up the next day. And I think that each day became a blessing to him, that he was waking up just grateful to be alive and taking those 24 hours to just make my mom happy, to, of course, go out and do his thing and serve others. But I think his focus just became on the family, and it was his love for my mom that kept him happy and alive. He would go to dance class with her, and he was always just so ready to be there with her and for her. And I know my mom's favorite thing he would do is when she would come home from work after working such long days, and she'd get on the couch and he would just rub her feet. That was her that's what when we talk about him now, she's like, I just miss when John would rub my feet. I was able to start transitioning out of the cycle when I came to California on vacation. So ironic of the death conversation is, it was at a funeral. I met my second cousin for the first time. He lives out here in LA, and he flew back to New Jersey for my aunt's funeral. And he came up to me and was like, you look like you belong in California. He's like, would you want to come out there on vacation? And I was in my dark time there of just not really knowing what I wanted to do with my life, inside and outside. And I was like, yes, I want to come to California. And a couple months later, I came here on vacation, and that is what just inspired me. Spent 10 days here and was like, I'm gonna live here one day. I know it. I knew something in me knew that I just felt called to come back to California. It was an experience of a calling. And then when I went back to New York after that vacation, it was a few months after that my stepfather, John, passed away. And so once he passed away, I knew that was the last step. It was like, I gotta go to California. I was experiencing that, and now John's gone. This is my time to go, because he saw me come back from that vacation, and I was telling him I just had the best time of my life in California. I feel like I want to live there, that I just need to go back there. He always said to me every day, go to California, life's too short. If you're feeling called, that's a real thing. And he always compared it to his call to go serve at Ground Zero during 9/11. He said that when the towers were hit, that immediately within himself, he knew that he was being called to go there and serve. And we would ask him, John, do you regret going down there? Like, if you could go back and not go, would you do that? Because then you wouldn't have cancer, you wouldn't be dying. And he said, not for a second do I regret, not even the slightest bit. And he said it was because he was answering a calling that felt larger than life to him. That's what he was encouraging me to do, to come here, because he saw that same calling in me. All the other deaths leading up to him put me in my mind, put me in this dark place, put me in question about life. But when the closest person to me in my life died, when John died, it brought me all the clarity ever. It inspired me, it like sparked something in me. And it was just like, wow, I'm gonna live for John now. I'm gonna live his legacy on. I'm gonna live the way he lives and serve others and just be that guy, be John. And I just believed so much that I was meant to do that in California. So 2 months after he passed away, I just packed my bags and moved in with that same cousin that I had a vacation with. He let me live on his couch for 8 months. All I had was a couch, and I just had so much faith in that couch that I would come here and that things would work out. That's all I went on. I'm gonna go to California and it's gonna be okay. Because that's what John always said to me, it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right, everything's gonna be okay. And I just trusted that so much. The way he said that to me in every moment, it was just like, I believe you so much, John, that everything's gonna be okay. I was able to just smile again and be happy and leave that box. It was a long journey to get out of my head and stop living from that place, but eventually it happened for me. I think having a reason for why you're doing what you're doing, if that reason's deep enough and meaningful enough to you, that you're gonna find a way to make it work and that it's gonna work. Sometimes you need someone to believe in you when you don't believe in yourself. And that's who John was for me. He believed in me so much, even when I was questioning if I even wanted to live anymore. Yeah, I think for the average person to say, if I would say I'm grateful for his death, that would come off as like, oh wow, that's a thing to say. Like, but it's more so of what that death meant to my life and what it has inspired me to do and who it's inspired me to become, the way it's inspired me to live my life and the way it's inspired me to look at others and treat others. And his death is what makes me want to wake up with a smile on my face and just breathe and say, thank you, God, for another day. But man, I don't stop thinking about him. I want him, I wish he was back here, and I just really believe that he's somewhere looking down on me, smiling, drinking his Jack and Coke. Yeah, I could talk about him all day. He's a hero. He literally is a hero to me and to just, yeah, love that guy.